right, so we're discussing Jordan Hall, and I have to say, I actually like his game quite a bit. So there's definitely some things to talk about, and I don't really see if this would be a long video because there's not a lot of complexities here, at least from what I've seen, but he could be kind of described in one word, and we'll talk about that in a second. Now, first and foremost, let's just go straight into his stats, because as far as where he's going to land in the draft, no idea. More than likely second round pick. Definitely not going to be a first round pick, but probably second round pick to undrafted. But as it stands right now, the buzz around him, people kind of feel second round pick, but who knows. So let's go ahead and go into his stats. 14.1 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and you can see a field goal percentage 39%. So that's not great. Okay, that's not wonderful, but overall, these are some pretty decent stats. You can see that he's kind of good at just about everything. It says guard, but he is a point forward. That's literally what he is. Now looking through, there's nothing here to get overly excited about. There's one thing that I do want to point out, because it should scare you. His turnovers. He turns the ball over, not a crazy amount, but overall it's not good. And to top that all off, his competition hasn't been phenomenal during the season. So the fact that he is turning the ball over at this rate, 3.5 turnovers a game, that's not good. Okay, that's no bueno. But that doesn't mean that it'll translate to the NBA. I mean, he can obviously work on it. He'll be fine there. I just want to point that out. Okay, there's a few caveats here that I do want to point out, because the positives are really positive, but the negatives are pretty negative. So one more thing I want to bring up that's a negative, and then we're just gonna go to the positives because I do want to talk about him. So negative, he's not a great defender at all, actually. I would even argue a pretty bad defender. Off ball, he doesn't really have the burst or the athleticism to keep up with his guy. He's not good or great around screens. And if a guy has a good first step, it's over. If they have a good first step, it's over. He's not keeping up with you. So that's one thing to point out. Now, he can work on that. I think one thing that would probably help him is adding on some strength. And that kind of bleeds into the offense as well. So he needs a little bit more strength, because what I've seen is it seems as if when he gets into the paint, he doesn't have a lot of strength to create space. He often goes for mid-range shots, or he goes for fadeaways, and it's not necessarily that he's trying to get away from contact. It just seems as if he doesn't really have the strength to finish on a consistent basis. So I just want to point that out, okay, because those are all the negatives. Now here's the positive. All right, this is the one thing I really like about him, and even these clips kind of show it. He is highly skilled. So if I had one word for him, it will be skilled. His passing ability is ridiculous. He's one of those players that when you're watching it, every single time, not every single time, but most of the time when you see him make a pass, you sit back and you're like, I didn't see that play opening up. Like, you think you know where he's going to go with the ball, but he always keeps the defense on their heels because they have no idea where this ball is going to end up. And that's a player that's very valuable. Now, a lot of people always say, oh, well, look at the forwards in the league like Ben Simmons, and look at his stats and compare it to a point guard in the NBA. And I always say it is not the same, okay? The fact that he has this big frame and he's a point forward, I would always give them a few more points than just a typical point guard. And the reason being is because if this player, and he has been double teamed quite a bit, if this player is double teamed, he can just pass right over the top of you. It's really hard to guard him there. And he can utilize his size to shoot over the top of you. So there's a lot there to kind of love about point forwards. And that's what he is. Essentially, he is a point forward. So like I said, very skilled player that comes with passing, probably his best ability. And then I would say his mid-range game is super good. Like, he has a really nice mid-range game. But it does come with the fact that he doesn't like to finish often. He'll go into your chest, but it's really just to set up a mid-range. So he's like an old school type player to me. Like, not old school, but I would say like 90s, early 2000s guy. He really utilizes that mid-range. He really likes to create that space with the mid-range. And he has a very high IQ, and his passing ability is incredible. He creates the plays. It's not just, oh, here's a pick and roll and it's going to end how you normally see pick and rolls end. No, he's going to create the play. You have no idea where he's going with that ball, and it's it's a beautiful thing to see. So if anything's going to keep him in the NBA, it's going to be that passing ability. He might lack that athleticism, but that passing ability is going to be with him his entire tenure. So if he end up being even a backup forward or backup guard, I think that you have a really nice player there. All right, so let's go ahead and go into this. So here's the pros and cons, and oftentimes I just look at this and see if I agree or disagree with it. And once again, I did not look at any of this, so this is my first time seeing it. All right, so pros: adequate shooter, I agree. Can post up smaller players, yes. Excels at scoring on off ball. Ooh, what was that? Off ball motion plays, I agree. Good play, I would say great playmaker. Solid rebounder. Yeah, and we were kind of talking about that with his stats. He does kind of everything well. Let's see, where are we? Adequate defender that can get steals. I don't think he's that good of a defender. I just don't. I don't think he's that good of a defender. Maybe he's more of an opportunist where he, opens up the lane. Because honestly, I think he has like a 6'10" wingspan, so it's pretty nice. And he's a sizable guy. I would assume that that's where his steals are coming from because of his wingspan and his length. But he's not a good defender, so I don't even know if I would say adequate. Above average athlete, yeah, sure. Struggles to score in traffic, yes. And I think that just needs to come with size. He needs just some strength. Lacks an elite first step off the dribble. Well, that's that lack of burst that we talked about. Unselfish to a fault. I don't know about that one. Can have lapses defensively. Yes. Not an elite athlete. Yes. Limited experience against top competition. Oh, dang. We talked about that too. Yeah. His competition isn't like really there. So that's one thing to keep up or keep track of. Anyways, Jordan Hall is a smart, skilled point forward that has strong playmaking skills. He has good court vision, which allows him to rack up assists. He also can knock down open threes, and he is also he also is, oh my god, I cannot read. I am reading at a 3rd grade level. Also is comfortable at scoring out of the post. On the other hand, he can be a little too passive on offense at times, and he will need to improve his focus on the defensive end. Definitely. Currently, he projects to be a 2nd-round prospect for the 2022 draft. So we'll wait and see. But overall, I do like him. Okay, so don't take this as me saying I don't like him. It's just one of those things where if he just had some defense, if he had a little bit more burst, maybe a little bit more strength, we would see him as a bona fide 1st-round pick. But unfortunately, missing those things will kick you into that 2nd round. But he is a really good playmaker, like really good. So a lot of promise there. Oh, one thing I didn't bring up as well, he has really good catch and shoot ability. So if you're wondering, is he just a mid-range player? No, he can shoot the 3 fairly well. I think it's about 35, 36. Actually, let's look at it really quick before I let you guys go. Let's see. Oh, yep, we were right. 36. So 36% from 3. And a lot of those are catch and shoot from what I've seen. And he's pretty doggone good at it. So just keep that in mind. He's not terrible outside of mid-range. You don't have to worry about that. But I'll get with you guys later, man. You want to support the channel, only $2 a month. Patreon, YouTube members, link in the description. Until next time.